Yeah, should I get up there now? Wait a minute. All right, welcome everybody to the March Women in Tech of the Heartland event. Who is enjoying this weather? Yes, I think we all need a little bit of applause. And then tomorrow, let's not clap. Of course, there's always a blizzard right around the corner. If this is your first Women in Tech of the Heartland event, raise your hands. Okay, quite a few newbies. Thank you so much for coming tonight. We're really excited to bring you a wonderful guest speaker we're very excited about. We'll touch on here in a minute. But first things first, let's do some housekeeping. If everyone could please sign in using this QR code. This will, of course, let us know that you were here tonight, which is important, but also register you for a raffle at the end of this event. And if you are online, it looks like we have about 10 folks joining us online. You can click the link that should be in the chat, courtesy of Karen. Thank you so much. All right. Does anyone else need the, okay, well, hang on just a moment.
Is that the same QR code that's up?
It is not. That was for the Reserves Network, which they had, and then this is for Women in Tech of the Heartland.
So the one we did out there was
Different. That is correct.
some great raffle prizes.
Yes. Lots of QR codes. We are tech people, right? Okay. So you will have an opportunity at the end to grab that as well. So little bit of a change tonight. I know a lot of you were expecting to hear from the wonderful Sandy Spady this evening. She did have some personal emergency come up, so we want to apologize for a bit of a change, but I think you all are going to love this replacement. We are just thrilled that Natalie could join us. I'll talk about Natalie in a minute. But Natalie also spoke at a recent conference that was hosted by Sandy. So she comes with great recommendations. And today we're going to still kind of keep the professional development topic of public speaking, but we're going to switch gears a little bit and turn it toward professional branding, using tech, using your networking skills, because I think it's really important that no matter where you work, who you are, you're always representing yourself in your company. So I think it really vibes well. I think we're going to have a lot to learn tonight. I'm going to get my notebook out here in a little bit so I can take some great notes. But a few other announcements before we turn it over to Natalie. I want to introduce Bruce Peterson with the Reserves Network, who is our wonderful sponsor. We couldn't do these types of events without our sponsors. So Bruce, if you want to share a little bit.
Thank you. Yeah, sure. Well, welcome to the Reserve Network. It is so wonderful to see this organization thriving. This is a great turnout. Love to see it. For those of you who may not be familiar with the Reserves Network, we are a staffing and consulting company. We formerly were called Arias Group, so I thought for a fact we're my Arias Group, and now we're the Reserves Network. We've been with the Reserves Network for just over 2 years now, and it's been a great journey. It's really taken our expertise from being regional in the Midwest to being national, and so very exciting. We also now are part of an organization that has 8 specialties. IT being one of them, and I lead that for the organization. We also have great teammates here tonight. So Renee Fox and Nisha Rice and June Christensen and Mallory Craddock and Pam Hickey back there. So they're all here. If you want to have any conversations with them about the Reserves Network, that would be great. And I think I'm supposed to mention we have 2 giveaways at the end. $25 gift cards, I believe, and you have to scan that one to do that,
No,
or that
it
one.
was the one that was on the screen for that.
Okay,
Yeah.
it's not there anymore. So hopefully you got it.
Make sure you get both of them.
Yes, okay.
We always like to know who's who's attending our events.
Samantha, could you go back to that?
I certainly can.
But we love it that you're here. Welcome. I mean, if you need to get up and get anything in the middle, please feel free to. There's food and drink out there. Get as much of it as you want. For those of you who didn't ask already, the restrooms are out in the lobby and past the elevators and then take a left. So I think that's it, but enjoy the presentation tonight and thanks for coming out. Appreciate it.
So a little bit about us, especially for those of you who have not attended our events before. We are Women in Technology of the Heartland, otherwise known as WITH. We're an Omaha area networking organization, and our mission is really to advance women in technology. We do that through events such as this and networking and outreach activities. We're hoping to put on plenty of more events this year. But it's really about creating space, right? Because we deserve a space to be in communication and collaboration with each other. And everyone deserves to have their voices heard and be in rooms with some amazing butt kickers like yourselves. And so I hope that before this event started and afterward, you exchange some business cards and really get to know each other. So that's what this is about. So these are the wonderful ladies who put these events on. A little round of applause for our organizers. A little plug, if you want to be a part of our group who organizes these events, you can certainly come up to any of us at the end of this event and we would love to have you join. Some upcoming events that we're putting on. So our next event in April is going to be about digital currency. Does anyone here have cryptocurrency? Okay, a few hands. I think it'll be a great opportunity to learn more. In May, I'm very excited to bring a networking mixer event. So we won't have a speaker that in May. It will be more of a vendor style where you'll get to know different user groups, kind of like with AI Omaha. And hopefully we're working on a DJ, some food, some music bingo. If you've not played music bingo, it's such a blast. So that's going to be a wonderful event to attend. Please put that on your calendars. Some other events in the community you might want to take note of. There's going to be this is a new group, the Nebraska Networking User Group. They just launched this last month, part of a national association, and they just started this local chapter, and they're putting on a leadership panel for tech innovation on April 10th. Saw some people taking some pictures. KernelCon, April 1st through April 4th. That is a cybersecurity conference coming up. And then Nebraska Women in STEM Spring Conference is also April 3rd and 4th. So a little bit of a lot going on in this town as far as tech goes. But I'm very excited. I'll be at the Nebraska Women in STEM event, and we'll have some representatives at KernelCon, and we'll actually be hosting a networking event. We'll be hosting a networking event at KernelCon as well. So please register for those. I think they're both going to be wonderful events. And actually, our raffle today, we will be raffling off 2 tickets to the Nebraska Women in STEM Conference. Here is an opportunity to again raffle, which we'll come back to. Oh, I think is that it? We'll come back to these slides. But first, before we move on and before I bring up our speaker, does anyone else have any events in the community we didn't hit on? Sam.
AI Omaha is April 3rd. Or maybe the 4th, that Thursday.
Okay.
It's the 3rd. And it is at Improving, with a speaker coming in talking about changes to development. Basically. So yeah.
Okay, awesome. Any others? No? Real quick, anyone using any new tech in their day-to-day lives that you want to share? Nobody? Okay. Yeah, go
I'm
ahead.
using Read AI. I don't know if any of you guys use note-taking tools, but I've tried a few different ones, and I've used Otter as well. But Read AI has been really good. It kind of looks like registered nurse when it's joining your meetings on Teams. I just tell them that's my nurse that's joining. But it provides a really, really good summary, so you don't have to worry about taking notes during meetings, and you can really focus on what your meetings are about. So I don't know, that's been a really good tool.
Fathom is another one that does
Yeah,
a
I've
really
heard
good
of that
job.
one.
of
I use
taking
that every
notes and
day.
summary.
So I couldn't survive my
You
job.
can
without
fathom without it?
Yeah.
Does all my decks. Yeah, I'll have a sales call and then it'll turn into a deck in less than 30 seconds for me. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very helpful.
We use Copilot quite a bit.
Yeah.
With the Azure. That's very helpful.
Well, thank you so much for sharing. Real quick, I just want to share a little bit about Natalie before I bring her up. We're so excited to be bringing her up. She is a powerhouse when it comes to personal branding and branding in general. Natalie started her own business in 2018. You might have heard of it, called Oh Hello, which is a wonderful name, by the way. So she is just a powerhouse when it comes to guest speaking and personal branding. She has this beautiful energy that I think you all will very much enjoy tonight. Again, I think personal branding, it seems weird to bring it into tech, but it really matters that we all represent our businesses that we work for and ourselves. And I think that we'll all learn a little bit of how to use tech when it comes to that as well. So without further ado, Natalie McCauley.
Do a little run. I love the Husker sign right there too. So this is a cool space. I think that's in the front. So, well, hi everybody. It's great to be here. I know Sandy Spady was supposed to be speaking. She's a friend of mine, so she says hello. Appreciate you guys welcoming me with open arms. So I'm going to go through this in about 45, 50 minutes tops. And I'm going to try and keep it super engaging, pretty quick. If you've got questions, let's throw up a flare and ask them. And my number one goal for you today is that you leave with just one golden nugget, something you can go and say, I'm going to do that tomorrow. Whether it's using ChatGPT to craft your personal brand statement, opening yourself up to the idea of posting to LinkedIn 3 times a week and really committing to it, or taking some time this weekend when the weather is much better than what we're going to see tomorrow to journal about what you want your personal brand to look like. So without further ado, we will go ahead and get started. Still getting the hang of this. There we go. All right. So a little bit about me. I'm not going to spend too much time talking about myself, but I founded Oh Hello in 2018. I'm a Tory Burch Fellow. If any of you are interested in that program, I'd love to talk about it, which I did the program 2 years ago. So thousands of women applied to Tory Burch's accelerator. I was able to go into that. And then I was able to get to an acquisition that really helped me get to an acquisition. I actually was just acquired 2 months ago by an Australian agency called the Big Smoke Media. So now my role is I'm the head of sales and growth for Australia and US. So my hours are very different now, as you guys might know. Australia is 16 hours ahead. And I'm an ex-TV news anchor and reporter turned marketer and brander, branding expert. I'm super passionate about personal branding. It is the reason I was acquired, 110%. I met this person who bought my company 2 or 3 years ago, and I was putting out a lot of content. She was engaging with that content. She started to mentor me, and a big reason she bought Oh Hello is because she really wanted a spokesperson in the US, and that allowed me to get to an exit, which was one of my goals. So a couple of rules about personal branding that I like to share. So rule number 1 is there is no magic pill. So anyone who says to you, you're going to build a personal brand overnight or in 90 days, or we're going to get you PR that's just going to shape your brand in the next 30 days and you're just going to blow up overnight, run away from those people fast. Personal branding takes a long time. It takes such a long time. That's why so many people don't do it. It's just like working out. Rule number 2, to be relatable, you have to be willing to be vulnerable and authentic. And this is why most people probably don't want to build a personal brand. You have to be willing to put yourself out there, to do content that, maybe it exposes something about yourself that you wouldn't normally share, or to put out content that you're thinking in your head, well, what if this doesn't do well? And I just did that. I spent, hours on this one Instagram reel of me in the gym, and I put it out today, and it's like the lowest performing content versus a photo of me with, a friend talking about something completely different that took 10 seconds, right? So you've got to be willing to be vulnerable and authentic. And then rule number 3, and this is more for this presentation, is just believe the people who are smarter than me if you don't believe me. I have used all of their frameworks, all the different people that I've studied about personal branding and marketing, from Gary Vee to, Ed Mylett, all of these different people that I listen to. They are much smarter than I am. And so Anything you see here is really just the teachings and learnings and education I've had over the past decade. Because when you're an entrepreneur, you learn very quickly. If you don't build a personal brand, you're not going to eat next week because you have to constantly drive lead generation and pipeline. So that's typically why people who are entrepreneurs do it quicker, but it doesn't mean that you shouldn't be doing it as well and getting career capital for whatever the next phase of life looks like. If you want that VP position in the company, build a personal brand. You're going to trump everybody because you're going to have visibility and the other people applying for that position won't. Jeff Bezos says it best, your brand is what other people say about you when you're not in the room. So a great exercise I give our clients when they come to us to build a personal brand, and I've worked with everybody from the NFL football player to the Olympic athlete, right? I ask them, I want you to go do a 360, and I want you to go talk to 7 or 8 people who are, you know, moderately close to you, not super close to you, but moderately close, and go ask them, what do they say about you when you're not in the room? That is a process that will allow you to get outside your head and understand what people think is different about you. So personal branding, it's an art, but it's also finding the balance. So I love this Venn diagram because it's finding what your audience loves and the happy mix of what your audience loves and what you love. So some of the mistakes I see people make in personal branding is they go down a path where they're talking about a bunch of different things that don't make any sense together, that they're not going to be interested in 6 months to a year. So if you do that, you tend to confuse your audience. It feels like noise and chaos to them. So you have to think about, what do I really love? What am I going to talk about for the rest of my life? Like, what is something that I have a deep obsession with that I can create a lot of content about? And then what does my audience love or care about? And how do I find that happy middle and happy medium? So why does personal branding matter to you? And why should you invest in it? Positioning yourself as an industry expert. Right? If you want to be speaking in conferences, if you want to be the person someone calls last minute when somebody else drops out, number 2 here, and I'm happy to be here, okay? If you want to be seen by your peers as someone who has valuable expertise to bring to the table, you build a personal brand. It builds brand recognition, right? And then and this says account and client. Look, I didn't have time to change every single slide before I got here, but think about anything that you put in that is a client relationship, consultant-client relationship, marketer-client relationship. You build that relationship with a personal brand because people start to see you as human. So let's talk about some of the elements of what a personal brand includes. And this should be kind of your compass. If you leave here and think, I really want to build a personal brand, here are the elements that you have to have. The first one is why and positioning. So mission matters. Strong mission, strong positioning. Your positioning is essentially what puts you in your blue ocean instead of a red ocean, right? And when it's personal branding, your positioning can be everything from your thoughts on politics, yes, I'm going there, to the colors that you use in your visual identity. But how are you different? Personality, brand personality is, are you really exemplifying that secret sauce? The way that you sound on social media, it can be in a variety of different ways, or the way that you write online, it can be used in your word choice, and the type of voice and tone, in the periods or semicolons. I know a personal brand, a candle company, she's built a multi-million-dollar business, and if you go to the Instagram of that company, everything is lowercase and it's all one run-on sentence. But it's a personal brand and it feels really flowy and ethereal, and so it evokes an emotion and I want to engage, right? So figuring out, how do I translate what's in my head to externally? And then messaging, which is essentially, what are the stories that you want to tell? And the stories you tell are the things that people are going to remember about you. So I'm sure you guys have heard of Simon Sinek, right? He's a YouTuber, he's a researcher, a psychologist. He came up with this idea of the golden circle. And I always like to start with this because his book he says, start with why. And so he does all this research and he looks at all the most successful companies and he figures out, yes, Apple is one of them. And the reason is because of the way they market outwardly is starting with the why instead of the how and the what. So if you look at Windows, they are selling us processing speed, which actually a lot of you in here actually might really care about, right? They're selling us processing speed and storage and a lot of different pieces that are just features. But if you look at Apple, they're selling us think different, be a rebel, be an artist, create. And most of the population makes decisions with their frontal cortex lobe in their brain. And so they are getting excited about the why. People buy the why of what you do, not the how or the what. So as soon as you can understand how to communicate as a personal brand and explain the why, right? That is what's going to set you ahead. Simon Sinek says, talk about what you believe and you will attract those who believe what you believe. The people who believe in your dream will work with you with blood, sweat, and tears. Be a great leader who inspires action. So what that means is really digging into your set of personal core values and actually exemplifying that is going to be a way to differentiate yourself as a personal brand. The Wright brothers is another great story that I like to share, where they were essentially in the early 1900s, they were completely outmatched when it came to developing the first plane and getting it up in the air. However, they were recruiting engineers with messaging, and Simon Sinek talks about this around, don't you want to be the first person to let man fly, to send men to the heavens, right? Messaging that was very emotional and very much about legacy. While their competitors were just saying, here's the job, here's the pay, here's what you're going to make, come work with us and let's try to get a plane up in the air. And the Wright brothers technically should not have been the ones to get a plane up in the air first, but they were, and it was because they started with why. So what they were talking about in their personal branding, even back then, verbally, was legacy. Anyone know who this is by chance? Who that? Anyone know her? Man, this is the first time in a while I've done this presentation. People usually do. Oh, you do?
Marie Forleo?
Marie Forleo. Okay. So Marie Forleo has a phrase, everything is figure outable. That's what she's kind of positioned her personal brand around. Everything is figure outable, which I know that's not what that says. The reason that I bring that up is because really great personal brands share a mindset that a tribe can get behind. That's why we call the messaging or the tagline that someone has with us when we're developing their personal brand, we use a phrase in our agency called cut through. Do they have cut through? Because cut through means I look at Marie Forleo and I think everything is figure outable all the time. I hear Ed Milet, who is a personal branding just master, and I think just one more rep. I think of Andy Frisella and I think 75 hard. I think of Elon Musk and I think the future, right? So when you've done a really good job with your personal brand, you're sharing a mindset that a tribe can get behind. And you're gonna know very quickly, this person has a lot of people feeling really amazing and excited and obsessed, and has half the country thinking, I hate this man, right? But that's what a great personal brand does. And if you're afraid of that, I don't know that you want to build a personal brand. And I really will say, and I have really no feelings about it, so this is easy for me to say. This Donald Trump, these characters, the best personal brands, they evoke really strong emotions. And it doesn't mean, and it's because they're telling a story, good versus evil, rich versus poor, right? So if you have values, especially today, get behind them to build a personal brand and people are gonna remember you. So when we do a brand audit in our company and we look at what is a strong personal brand when somebody comes in, is their brand from a 0 to 10, what would we say? Is it weak sauce or is it really strong? And these are kind of the things that we go through is we ask these questions, does it create an identity around a worldview that a tribe can follow? So I'm gonna show you some people in this presentation who do that really well with all of their content. Does it put the audience a little on edge and inspire conversation? Is it authentically unique to them? And to earn our attention, there needs to be tension. There has to be tension in a personal brand, right? There is content that I'm undoubtedly gonna put out that not all of you are gonna like. And that might mean that you're not my audience, and that's okay, and vice versa. So there has to be tension in a personal brand to be successful. This is a quote by me. If you're not willing to take risks to inch the conversation forward just a little bit, to create tension with an audience, you may not want to build a personal brand. It is a risk. Building a great brand is a risk, but being an entrepreneur is a risk. Trying to get promoted is a risk. There's everything in this world. Driving on the freeway is a risk. You just have to decide, is the juice worth the squeeze for what I want to do with my career and my life? So why do personal brands fail? Distraction and no focused message. So you really have to think about sharing your uniqueness in one thing and focusing consistently on talking about that one thing. I do a lot of other things outside Ovaltine. I have other businesses. There's other things, but I don't talk about those things very often. And the reason why is because I've decided what I want to be known for is the brand guru, is the marketing guru, is the person who can help you take your brand from blah to amazing and grow your company from 5 million to 20, which I've done with some of the clients we have at Ola. So for me, I have to be very conscious about the content that I'm creating and taking people in all these different directions, right? Go ahead. First question of the day.
Would you possibly have more than one brand, meaning I have a brand for my work life and I have a brand for my personal life? Because, those are two separate things. So do you create different brands for each one?
It used to be that you could, but now with the level of AI and the digital footprint piece of this, where anyone can see everything you've done on the internet, no longer. It's all one. Like if you're talking about a personal brand, right? Now, obviously, a company can have sub-brands underneath it. But as a personal, anything you put on the internet, I can find. Anything on your, Apple tracking. I mean, some of you are probably pretty astute because this is a tech group. But it's very easy to figure out what each of you is about, right? And so if you're developing like a personal Instagram, a personal LinkedIn, a professional, what we're seeing now with the most successful personal brands is there's really no fourth wall. It's all one. It's one component. This is the human. And that's how we're all acting with our buying decisions. When you meet somebody, if you want to do business with them, if you feel like you can trust them, based on how quickly you figure out if you have shared values. So yeah, great question, and hopefully that helps. So I want to keep this active. I don't want to just talk at you. I want to talk with you. So here are some questions that I'm going to give you guys just 5 minutes to journal on. You can do this on your phone. You can write this down. And what I want to do is help you guys understand what you could potentially even position and build your personal brand around. So these are questions that we give our clients when we're helping them develop a personal brand. Like we're working with a CEO of a tech company that does $30 to $50 million a year. And we've asked him these questions because he's hired us to do his visibility and PR placements for the next 12 months. And he wants to separate out from his company and really focus on the profile of him as an entrepreneur, even though his company background is part of it. So these are the questions that we gave him just a week ago. What problem do you solve? So if you could come up with one problem that you solve, that you're passionate about solving, what problem do you solve, right? I help simplify marketing and branding for people. I mean, that's a big strength of mine. That's how I would answer that question. What are you passionate about? What pisses you off? What makes you mad? What breaks your heart? There are a lot of problems you could solve, but if you could whittle it down to the ones you're passionate about. So if you have more than one, this is a key question for you. What do you have academic knowledge on? What have you seen results in? It's great if you solve someone's problem, but you've never solved it for yourself. It's kind of the equivalent of somebody who you hire as a business coach and they say they're going to help you scale your business, but they've never scaled a business. Would you want to hire that person? This is the vetting question that we really ask our clients. You're most powerfully positioned to serve the person you once were, who you were 10 years ago. Yes. So that means if you think about it, 10 years ago, you were on a journey of some kind, and you've now maybe hit some of the hero's journey, we call it, branding. You kind of hit some of those points where you've accomplished some things. And now you'd like to help the person you once were. For me, that's a big part of my personal brand is there are a lot of women who want to start agencies. And I can help them. I can help them not make the mistakes that I made, right? And the last question is, what type of lifestyle do you want to have? And that's really thinking through, what do you want to show as far as your daily life? If you take them behind the scenes. So for me, it's Pilates, it's working out, it's walks, it's cold plunging, it's sauna. I'm a big believer in wellness, right? So that's a piece of the lifestyle. Life-work blend, not life-work balance, right? So I'm gonna be quiet and give you guys 3-4 more minutes. Write some things down. Would love to hear your answers. You can even talk and share it with the person next to you and try to brainstorm together. And you can talk at normal voice too. You don't have to. These are like. Oh, yeah. I mean, I probably should have gone full screen to begin with. Sorry, yeah. I just also put in some Q questions if you're struggling to answer the last question. Forgot about this slide. Hi, Pam. I was trying to.
Thank you for doing that.
Just remember sitting there. So that I said,
10 minutes later.
very excited about this. Congratulations, by the way, on the company. That's got to be very exciting.
Take a moment to enjoy it. It's happened so fast. So long and then so fast. Weird. A life of that. Like a year of just clawing for it and then finally got back and like, huh, that's how that happens.
How did you end up getting assigned to Australia and the US?
That's a great question. They had a sales team in Australia. They wanted to see it. I was part of it, at least for the first 6 months. Part of it.
Any plans on relocating?
I love Nebraska. My fiance and I just bought a house in Oklahoma. I told him I don't want to, but I said also my eventual goal that I would have full time and have it at my own, and I can help build a team. I mean, they're really one. Anyone need any more time, or can we dive right in here? Okay, so last question, and I'd love to hear some of your answers in a moment here. If you had to describe what your focus is in one word, what is it? If you can write that down, just take 30 seconds to think about it. The reason we ask this question is because really great personal brands, there's one word that you can think of to describe them. So Dave Ramsey, what do you think of? Just shout it out. Money. Money. Brene Brown, what do you think of?
Vulnerability.
Yep. The other word that people use that comes up, vulnerability or shame, right? Let's see, Sarah Blakely, what do you think of? Thanks, right? But you also think of female entrepreneurship, right? So my point being is just try to look at your list. If you could just describe one word, what would it be? Just one. Just take a second to write that down for me. So anyone in here not using ChatGPT on a daily basis? Just 1, 2, yeah. So the next thing I always like to say, if you want to pull up ChatGPT, a big part of personal branding now that we're training our clients, and some of you may already be here, is how to not only define your positioning and your personal brand really well, but create a GPT on your phone that you can essentially give a brief to. We build these for our clients, doesn't take long, build them. You can give a brief to, and then you can, at any point you're creating content, work with that GPT to iterate and create your content and to differentiate it and to make it better. And the cool thing about AI is when you're giving it feedback, it's a feedback loop. It's like your personal brand assistant. It's getting better and better. So the next piece that I do in this presentation, you all may not have access to, but I'd like you, if you have ChatGPT and you're open to trying this, you can actually create your personal brand statement using all of the questions, all of the answers to the questions that I just went through. And what I typically recommend to clients who are trying to build a personal brand is taking those answers, and it doesn't have to be right now, but if anyone wants to try it and be my guinea pig, I'd love to do some back and forth with you. Putting it into chat and saying, hey chat, I would love to build a personal brand. You can list a personal brand statement. You can list your key attributes, define who your audience is and include what you do, and infuse your personality and use your one word. And this doesn't have to be perfect, but a prompt like the following: hey chat, I want to build a personal brand statement because I want to create content for my personal brand. Here are some of the things about me, putting in the answers to what we just did, right? Can you give me a personal brand statement that will be memorable, that will help serve as a compass for my content? Anything like that will pretty much work. Is anyone open to trying that? I know that, you know, some of you have computers, phones. Anyone want to put that in? Just take 2 or 3 minutes and play around with chat and we can read that out. I know I'm pushing my limits here in terms of this workshopping, but 1 or 2 people. Yes.
How do you feel about job security with ChatGPT?
Oh, we're going there. I just think that right now, currently, the people who will continue to grow are the people who know how to use AI better than people who don't. That's what we're seeing at our firm. I mean, I work with 54 other people, some of them in Australia, people who know how to use AI really well, who build master prompts, who understand how to iterate with it, who understand how to fact check it, who are taking classes not just about how to use AI, but how to fact check their work with AI so that they're not putting out content that is, you know, plaguing the algorithms and flagging us for SEO or incorrect. Because, you know, all of this AI, it's not 100%. What you get from AI is not foolproof. Like, you have to actually do a QA process. So anyways, that said, I feel that the workforce, people who understand how to use AI are going to just continue to get promoted, and the people who decide that they want to live in the past of just, I mean, and my fiance, he doesn't like using AI, so I'm even talking about him. Him and I have this conversation all the time. You know, he still wants to just work in Microsoft Word. He doesn't want to use all this AI, right? But the truth is that's where it's going. And you can either be a first adopter or you can be a late adopter. And the people who adopt quickly will command higher salaries. They will take jobs. That may not be the answer people want to hear, but that's what I believe to be the truth fundamentally. So anyone want to try this with GPT? Anyone brave enough to put something in?
Chat GPT up. I don't want to put in any information, but if somebody else wants to put their information in here, we can have an interactive thing.
Okay.
I'm trying.
She's trying. All right, great. Pam, do you want to try?
Not really. I do, but
Yeah.
not publicly.
Yeah.
Just because I feel like I should know more than I do about what some of that should be.
That's okay. It doesn't mean that you can learn anything these days, right? And
Yeah.
so if you're not using AI right now and you heard me say that, you're sitting there going, oh my gosh, listen, I'm just sharing with you what I fundamentally have learned in the last year of going through an acquisition, of having every part of me gutted out, that this is transforming and changing the way we operate. Learn it, know it. Your life will be better and easier because of it, and you will be ahead of other people. And the truth is,
I love that you're all about sharp intellect.
Oh. Love it. And I wasn't planning on going on an AI tangent, but the truth is that there's still a language of it that needs to be very human as well. So the piece about it that I want to, and I see the chat going crazy, and I didn't even realize that there are comments here. Yeah. there is actually a statement in here that I'm gonna read from chat. But the piece about it being human, it's very important to infuse your humanness with it, to think creatively, to be more of a, if you think of using AI, it's like being a DJ now, right? You know, you have to know what to cultivate and taste, and you have to put in the right inputs. You can't just let AI tell you what makes you special. You have to do the work of 360 interviews, of actually getting in touch with yourself and, you know, meditating or doing whatever it is you want to do to know what differentiates you. So I'm gonna actually read this out. We've got some people in chat. So here's a personal brand statement from Rachel Higgins. Here we go. From incarceration to innovation, I am proof that determination and intelligence can break any barrier. With a strong foundation in STEM and a relentless work ethic, I've turned setbacks into stepping stones, using my expertise to create meaningful change. I connect with others through authenticity and relatability, proving that no challenge is too great to overcome. My mission is to inspire, build, and lead, showing that success isn't about where you've been, but where you're determined to go. Can we give Rachel an applause? Okay, so I'm just gonna, let's see if I can, is there a way to expand this, Savannah? So everyone can read her statement a little bit larger. Great job, Rachel. Okay, so if I was working with Rachel at my agency, there's a couple things that I would do. First, I would ask her to add in who she serves or who she wants to help. That's the first thing missing. Great job, Rachel. I love that she said, thank you.
You want everyone to see
I would love for everyone to see it if that's okay, to see that message.
do a little bit of. Since we're techie people, we can figure this
We
out.
can, yeah, I just don't know, what is this, Microsoft? Yeah, I don't use Microsoft, so. Perfect.
Okay, can everyone see that?
Great.
Got it.
Oh, yep, got it. Okay,
Got it.
perfect. So I love this. I love this. So if I was working with Rachel, I would say, like, there's a lot of ideas that come to mind, but if we were to build a content calendar for the next 90 days, I would be looking at asking her questions about, what did you learn while you were in incarceration? What made you decide that you wanted to get into STEM? What was the path there? What was the training you went through? Because what was the thing I said? You're perfectly positioned to serve the person you once were, right? So I would be helping her to create a content calendar over a period of 90 days, you know, let's say 3 posts a week, where she introduces herself, she journeys out. She doesn't have to tell her entire story of what she did to get there. But that is the vulnerability and relatability piece, where people need to hear that story. Because even if I'm not her target audience, but I'm Pam and I'm looking to hire somebody for my company, what I'm thinking is, if somebody can go through that and get to this, they can handle doing $100,000 of sales a month for my company because they're what? Resilient, right?
Yep.
So I would work with her on her first 30 days of introducing herself, of sharing the stories of what she learned while she was in incarceration, thinking about how to frame that, right? Second 30 days, I would work with her on understanding what her foundation in STEM is and how she can create value for her audience. So creating value is a very important piece of personal branding. So that means, what content can you teach other people who are interested in STEM, who want to expand in this network and expand in this industry, that they're going to save or share or tag somebody on, because that creates the word of mouth referral. And word of mouth referral is how you get your next job. It's how you get your next client and your next opportunity. The only way you get the word of mouth referral is if you create a tremendous amount of value in your personal brand. So whatever it is you wrote down that you're passionate about, there's a mix of entertainment content, sharing your lifestyle, sharing your story and authenticity, and then creating a tremendous level of value for people because they want to understand and know more about that area that you're an expert in. So the third thing I would do in the last 30 days with her is I would really think about, what does her lifestyle look like and how can we infuse that into her content and humanize her? So that comes down to, where are you getting coffee? What local businesses are you supporting? What events are you going to? What values are you operating on a daily basis that we can show from your personal life? I just did a video on LinkedIn with me training with my trainer. I'm 90 days out from my wedding. I'm busting my butt in, you know, all these different weights. And it's, the reason I'm sharing that is because it humanizes me. I'm like, hey, I'm taking off work and at 12 o'clock, I'm hitting this because in 90 days, I'm walking down the aisle. People have to be able to know, like, and trust you before they'll buy from you. So again, thank you, Rachel, for sharing. Anyone have any questions on any of that? And yeah, I might need your help, Savannah. Well, Savannah's doing that. Anyone have any questions on any of that? What that looks like and how we even got there and why that personal brand statement would be valuable for focusing in your energy on what's talked about? Throw a hand up. No question is a silly question. Yeah.
Is a personal brand siloed to your online presence, or how do you incorporate like using tools like ChatGPT with online and everyday?
That's a great question. Yeah. So when you've really started to develop a personal brand over a period of 6 months to a year to 2 years, right, you start thinking about things like, what are you wearing to events? There's a reason I'm wearing a bright dress. I'm a bright personality. I want you to see me as such. I don't want you to see me in black. You know, I have friends that, you know, do all this really cool, modern, black, edgy looks, and they're a lot edgier than me when they speak. That's not my personality, right? I'm edgy, but I'm also spunky. So when you're thinking about personal branding, I hired a stylist 5 years ago. I mean, I really did. And I was like, clean out my closet, do my colors. I'm a winter. What should I be wearing to events? What's my personal style? That is a piece of it. The other piece is, how are you investing back into the community, right? You know, we sponsor events around female entrepreneurs at Okolo. We're looking ahead to what the next year looks like and what we'll sponsor. But for me, and for personal brands that we work with, we're always asking the question, what's your philanthropic or community initiative? What do you want to commit to? Pick one thing, because we all get hit up for hundreds of volunteer opportunities, donate to this, donate to that. But what if your personal brand was just tied to one thing? My one thing for, you know, the previous years was we always did, we did Lincoln Calling, we did Lincoln Arts. I lived in Lincoln. We would always give a ton of marketing and branding pro bono work to the arts, because I'm an ex-musical theater girl. I came to Nebraska Wesleyan on a full ride for musical theater. Lincoln, Nebraska has been my hub before I moved to Omaha. And so I really felt, as part of my personal brand, that I wanted to associate myself as a dynamic person who contributes to the arts and community. That was something that was important to me. So that's how you extend it. It's how do you choose to spend your time and what do you show up to that makes you feel good here? And what do you wear and how do you express yourself? Does that help? Mm-hmm. And I saw another hand up, so anyone? Yes.
So I was going to ask if this is an issue when, let's say you have a full-time job and then you're trying to build a personal brand for your own business. And for sometimes companies, the place where you work doesn't see that from a good eye. Actually, this happened to me. My manager called me out and asked me if I was working for another company while I was in the company. And it was a whole HR meeting about that. So she didn't understand why I was the CEO of this company. What is this? Mm-hmm. So I'm extremely active on LinkedIn and I post a lot trying to create that personal brand. And for some reason, companies may not hire you because of that, or they don't like that.
Comes down to that word that I said earlier, which is focus. So I've helped people in my life. I'm going to give you an answer here with a story. A good friend of mine was like a top radio DJ in Nebraska, and he left his station because he also did emceeing of events, huge events all over the country, and they were trying to clamp down on him. And he was like, when he took the job, he had set clear boundaries. This is what I do. This is my personal brand. And you need to be able to accept that I'm going to be advertising these pieces with taking this job. They actually had it in his contract, but they could not continue to stay in alignment, so he left. So the thing that I'm going to tell you, which is really hard, but it's also true, excuse me, is you have to actually have that conversation at the very beginning. Or when it becomes something that you're picking up or adding in, let's say you're starting a film, a film club, and that's gonna be part of your personal brand, and you're gonna run it every Wednesday night, and you're gonna be talking about it all the time, and it doesn't really intersect with your career, but that's what you really want to build your personal brand around. It is on you to have the conversation with your senior leadership team, and if it doesn't align with them, there are other jobs, right? How many of us have stayed in a job that didn't align with our values or didn't align with what we wanted to do just because we were too scared to go find another one, right? It is on you as the individual and the curator of your life to make a decision on what matters. And there are plenty of positions and plenty of jobs, and I know this, where you being a CEO of, let's say, a tech startup, while working with them would be okay. It's just finding the one that's in alignment. That may not be the answer that you want to hear, but anytime that I have clients coming to me and saying things like, I started this retail brand and it's a ski suit and I'm really trying to build my entire personal brand around that, and my marketing agency that I work at during the day is really upset about it. They're usually out of alignment in terms of the fulfillment that that person gets from having something of their own. And we're now in this global economy and global workforce where, you know, a lot of people have second jobs, second businesses. And so leadership teams are trying to handle that and understand how to navigate that. So it is a complex issue, but I think it also comes back to focus. And if you're really passionate about something, maybe it should be your full time, right? Hopefully that helps. Yeah. Okay, so I'm almost done. I know I've only got about 5 minutes, and I'm not going to go over time and take you guys through another half an hour. I'm gonna wrap it up here pretty quickly, okay? So brand personality. So we talked about positioning and messaging. Positioning is what sets you apart, that personal brand statement. Messaging is the stories you tell. I want to hit on brand personality. This is an example of a brand personality of I think she's an accountant or a bookkeeping consultancy. Yeah, Apple the accountant, right? Voice and tone, right? The way that you make people feel with the colors and the fonts that you use. This feels professional, but it also feels elevated. It feels modern, right? The color scheme, the emojis, and the promoted emotions. So when you're crafting your brand personality and sitting down to think about, I've got my personal brand statement, I know what I want to talk about, how do I want to sound? It's not just in the words you choose, it's also in the color scheme, the emojis you use, and how you emote online can tell somebody what you're about and what sets you apart. Successful branding is all about emotions, not products, whether it's B2B or B2C. It's about how you make people feel, and we get lost in that because we get so involved.
Just read the tagline.
Yes, yes. So welcome to Texas, where unsolicited nudes are not welcome. This is Whitney, the founder of Bumble. And one of the things that she did and why she has such a phenomenal personal brand is she actually worked on legislation that banned men from sending unsolicited nudes in Texas and made it, I think it was a class 3 felony, something. I'm messing that up, I'm sure. But again, Whitney, founder of Bumble, which is a dating app tech company. How has she built a personal brand? What are my core values? What is my why? Making women feel safe when they're dating, online and in person. Okay, actually making women feel safe, period. And she took it to the next level by getting involved in legislation. This is what strong personal brands do, right? They are vocal, vulnerability, outwardness, consistency, authenticity, and loudness, which is my own little analogy there. Another piece that I want to just share as you're building your brand personality and voice and tone is using what's called Story Brand Framework by Donald Miller. One of the most brilliant marketing frameworks that I've ever learned in my career. I had a client who really wanted to pay for me to go through the training because they wanted to use this for their website. I'd never heard of it. This was like 6 years ago. And the idea, and you can use this with your AI, is to make your target audience the hero of the story because you are their guide. So don't say I, use you. So even as a personal brand, if you're building value to people, you're not saying I'm feeling down today. You're inviting people into the conversation. How is everyone feeling out there? Are you enjoying this weather or what? You know, right? Like that, it sounds totally different. And there's a lot of different ways to do it, but when you're building a brand personality, this is the way, is to start with you and answering the question, what's in it for them? So I'm just going to show you a couple profiles that do personal branding really well and are great examples and that you can go and look at. One of them is, a couple of them are local. Anyone know who Andrea Norris is by chance? She's on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. She's one of my good friends. She's a content creator on just all things Nebraska. Things that are trendy, things that are cultural, things that are funny, things that are sad. What I would say she's captured really well in her personal brand is being the heartbeat of the state. The heartbeat. I can go to her profile and take a temperature pulse on what's happening. And not just what's happening, how people are feeling, right? That's a great personal brand, and that's her positioning. This is a guy who, anyone know who Brian Johnson is? He is leading the industry in life longevity. So he is a entrepreneur who is essentially extending his life by doing a ton of different protocols. His content, it's edgy, it's vulnerable, but it's all about one thing that he gets cut through with, which is don't die, the Don't Die Club. Funny, edgy, that's the message, don't die. And everything he does is about sleep and eating healthy. All of his content revolves around supporting that fundamental idea that his brand circles around, which is how do you not die? How do you live longer? Kettlebell Warrior, this is a guy who's local, he's actually my trainer. He's the guy yelling at me in LinkedIn video if you want to watch that. He does one thing really well. He's grown an entire Instagram account and an entire business on just a kettlebell. This is how you use a kettlebell to move your body, right? And I know I'm giving you, these are outside of professional, I guess what you could say, LinkedIn and tech, but the idea is there's one simple concept that they have revolved everything around, and it's just one idea, right? Okay, so to wrap this up, everybody asks me, well, I want to build a personal brand, but I don't know if I just start on LinkedIn or YouTube or Instagram. Just pick one. You don't have to start with all of these, right? I tell the same things to companies that are building social media profiles. Pick either Facebook or X or Instagram or Twitter. Where is your audience going to be? Your audience, I don't know necessarily for each of you who it is, they are likely heavily on one of these platforms. So pick one platform and build from there to make it sustainable. The platforms focus on entertainment in the form of stories, not sales pitches, pushing new features, building community, and eventually what it all comes down to is selling ad space. So if you're not entertaining or giving value in some way, those platforms go, oh, this is boring. We're going to shove that down because they want you to stay on platform longer to see the ads that are running. So when you put up content that's just, I went to the, like if I did, I spoke at this, event tonight and I just show a picture of like the room, no human, no presentation, it's empty. That's not entertaining. If you guys weren't sitting here, right, just an empty room. But I see people do this all the time and wonder why their content isn't doing well. And it's because that's not entertaining. That's not engaging. And anytime you're using new features meaning what LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok have just rolled out, your content's going to spike up. That's why to be really good at social media and building a personal brand online, which is typically where people want to build it, you have to think about how to be an early adopter and how to learn really quickly. So I'm going to just fast forward through some of this. These are some resources that I use and look to daily on how to create better content, how to build a personal brand. One of the things that we helped our clients do is, hire executive virtual assistants in Latin America or the Philippines to edit their content for them. There are a lot of different ways to execute on a personal brand. If everything that I said is super overwhelming, I always say just start small. Just start with 1 to 2 posts a week and really focusing in your message on one platform. And then as you grow and as you start to enjoy A/B testing content, you can always hire an executive assistant to edit those videos to help you with content. So these are some of the resources. And lastly, if you'd like to have a complimentary digital footprint on it and understand what does your personal brand look like online, we have plenty of tools to do that. I'm happy to take you through that process and to bring some value to the conversation and show you this is what your personal brand looks like right now. And this is what it could be. So thank you guys. That's it for me.
Questions for Natalie? Can we back us to that presentation?
Yeah, we can circle that for sure.
Are you really 30 days from getting
Questions for
married?
Natalie?
I'm 90 days. Yeah, I know. Yes.
I'm guessing
Jane,
you have everything
So since she was
covered.
talking about that, I want to get an engaging photo. You have ideas, Natalie, what we should do? Everybody with the thumbs up, live long and prosper sign, a big, Taylor Swift heart.
I'm trying to think and my mind's drawing a blank. I'm usually really good at this.
W for with,
Yeah, what's the W?
with.
Okay, we
Women
can
in tech.
Yeah, women in tech, let's do it. It's like Hunger Games, but with threes. Okay, so.
That was good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So what I'm doing right now is I'm preparing the raffle. So we have 4 items to raffle off. We are, let's see, let's first do these two wonderful gift cards. They are shopping, eating, enjoying yourself, treat yourself, retail therapy gift cards, $25 each. And let me share my screen again so you can see this really fun wheel of these.
And I apologize, I didn't even look at the chat enough, so.
No, I've been watching it.
I'm like, oh no.
right.
No, I've been watching it.
Ready,
so.
set, here we go. And drum roll. Oh, that one was so close. Ooh. We know who that is? Who is that?
No, it was almost me.
Is that somebody online?
Is she online?
I'm looking. Oh, Emily Kinder.
Okay, I will email that to Emily. Move, all right, and the other one. Drum roll. The end part is so much anxiety. Forgot. Crystal?
Oh.
Yay! Congratulations.
I felt like you were gonna win something
Oh.
today. I don't know, I
Energy.
just did. Yep.
All right, now we have 2 tickets to the Nebraska Women in STEM Conference. So there is a promo code written on this little note, and so you would have to register. Tech Systems, TE Farley. Let's go. And while we're spinning, don't forget to grab the stickers on your table, and there's probably still some more food out there. So feel free to grab what you need.
And then Nebraska Women in STEM, I think that's either 250 or $200.
Christy? Yay! All right, well, with that, I believe that is all we have. Thank you again to our wonderful sponsor, the Reserves Network. What? Okay,
Yeah.
that's right.
Monica told us that in the chat.
We will do 2 more.
While you're doing that, we have people online from as far away as Kearney,
Okay.
Elkhorn, Omaha. Emily is right here in Omaha, so it'll be easy to get her gift card. So
Okay.
thanks everybody.
All right, can you connect with her too?
Yay. So hers
Okay.
is for Infotech.
Okay,
It's,
go talk to Colleen after
Get
this.
her contact info.
For
Keystone.
Emily that's online.
No, for
For
Keystone.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Tech program.
Absolutely.
So that we can get her the
Okay.
Infotech.
We don't have any physical things to give out, it's a little trickier. All right. And Jill.
Yay.
Bill is Cordova.
Woo-hoo!
There hasn't been an Infotech in about 3 or 4 years now, I think it is. They put that on the back burner for a little bit. We've got their new CEO, Dalla, that was our speaker in January. And he's resurrected Infotech because he sees that there is an important need and value for it in the Omaha area. So if you're interested in sponsoring or going, go out online, it's AIM Infotech, and find out more information.
All right. That we will all see you for cryptocurrency in April, if not before, at KernelCon or the Nebraska Women in STEM Conference. Hope you guys come back next time. And can we give Natalie a hand?
Especially for the last minute. I mean, that was-
Be safe in the blizzard.
We had to cut a few slides, but
You
didn't
feel
really
so
fit,
blessed to
but
get somebody
it was
of your
good.
calendar.
I would never have said that was the last. I've done the presentation
I almost called you out.
No, like very. So my family. I was too, but I started thinking, you know, Seth put together these slides for AI overload last week.
We had someone new do this.
Yeah.
We'll make sure that.
But I'll do the same. I mean, I'll, cause I started thinking, did we even include this? So we, yeah.
I do, that's why I had a lot of marketing, communications, everything. So we're gonna have
Well, it's like my daughter that Instagram.